Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer. We're going to be getting started in a sec with the experiment that I outlined before over on my YouTube account. Basically, the plan is we are going to run a whole bunch of grotto maps. Currently, I'm just going to do 14 in this stream because I'm going to be on a podcast reasonably soon. And we're going to be tracking the drop location of every single common divination card that drops there. We will then hopefully get some sort of information on just how rare it is to get these divination cards dropping from the Scourge monsters. So I don't think the tier is going to matter in this, so I just picked up tier 4s because they're cheap and common and easy, and we're just going to get started. Not using any scarabs, not really using any juicing at all, but I have set up my, well, I actually haven't even set up my atlas for low tier. I've set up my atlas so that I'll get more of the high tier drops, but that's fine. We're paying attention to the divination card loyalty, and that's basically it. Every loyalty drop that we get will be something that will help us pin down that drop, the amount of drops that come from Scourge monsters. So we're going to try and full clear these maps, including the Krangleverse. We may not be able to full clear the Krangleverse, we probably can't, but we'll get sort of close-ish, I think. There's one from the Krangleverse, so we're at, we're at 1 so far, and it was from the Krangleverse. I'm expecting that about 60% of our drops will be from the Krangleverse. Other people expect it to be very, very, very different to that. But that's what we will find out. One sec, Wally, just make sure that the stream is working over on my laptop, because there'll be nothing worse than firing away with the stream and it not working at all. The other thing that we'll be able to do along the way is test, like, there's other league mechanics you get access to that have a chance of dropping decent stuff. Like, you'll get every now and again, you get something like this, Blight Encounter. Oh, that's right, I've forgotten that I've got maps being leveled. What do we got there? That got something new on it. So I can jump into the Krangleverse here, and the fact that the Blight is going will provide me with a bunch of extra monsters to kill, which will give a bunch of extra juice for the league mechanic. Just the fact that it's got so many extra monsters, I'll get to kill them, and they'll give me more time in the Scourge dimension. Don't even need to dodge those. Yeah, it's a low tier map, we can just do whatever we want. Ouch, mate, that's gotta hurt. Nothing quite like failing a Maven Orb. Hey, there's a low tier Blight map, just something that we didn't really... it wasn't what we were looking for. That one came from the Krangleverse, so we're at 2 from the Krangleverse so far, 0 from the regular monsters in the map. That has really got to hurt. Did you get something out of the Maven's Orb at least? Like something that someone else might use? Or did you do it in such a way that you didn't have the backup chance? It was, you were all in on getting what you wanted. One of the things I like with Maven Orb crafting is that you can often set up a situation where you either hit what you want or you hit what someone else might want. Oh, you're doing it with imprints. Yep. Okay, cool. Hey, I got a Scourge point. Nice. What was I working on at the moment? I was working on Warp Sluice. And, forgot to actually commit it because for some reason it doesn't commit unless you hold control. Which would be fine, except that it's quite cheap to respec those things. So we're 2 and 0 so far. 2 from the Krangleverse, none from anywhere else. 3 from the Krangleverse now. So still 100%. It's not going to stay 100% because loyalty drops a lot. Yeah, it just depends whether the second mod is something people desire or not. That can change how you play things a bit. I had a 2-gen encounter here. I'm just going to do that quickly. This adds more monsters to the zone and less Krangleverse stuff, but I don't think it's going to be a decisive impact. It's just a pretty small amount. Gee, you get so much when you juice up the logbooks in Lyra Arthane. Not logbooks, the expedition encounters in Lyra Arthane are crazy. You get so many explosions. And even though that's a low tier logbook, I'm definitely picking it up. There's a chance that it could have one of the bosses in it. If it's got one of the bosses, that's a really good thing to have for the challenge. You've got to get that out of the way at some point. Still didn't get any of the div card from there, though, that we're looking for. That's interesting. But, jump across to the other dimension for a sec. Have a look and see if we can get any more copies of our card that we're looking for, and we can. So that's 4. I do need to dodge that. I do need to dodge the volatile in this area, because now that we've got 126 stacks of the Krangleverse, we're now in a bit of a worse position. Alright, so here's our map boss. We'll drop into the other dimension, use up some of the Scourge juice. This map boss actually is reasonably sketchy because I have no chaos resistance. Though that replaces the Grotto map, which is always nice. I've double favorited Grotto map. I haven't unlocked triple favoriting yet. That provides a bit of extra flexibility there. So currently all 5 of the loyalty cards we've had have been in the Krangleverse. That's too small a sample size to say much, but it should give you a bit of a sense as to just how much this amps up the Scourge mechanics amp up the quantity in a map. But, as I say, sample size still small. You can flip a coin 5 times and get 5 heads in a row. That's 6 times in a row. That's not unremarkable. It's when you start seeing, if we start seeing that out of the first 200, 175 of them are from the Krangleverse, then that's when you can draw some real conclusions. Hang on, did I say... Yeah, it's 6. It is 6. So all of them from the Krangleverse so far. We will full clear all of the regular map. Heh. So there's 2 more of the card. So we've now had 8, all of them from Scourge monsters. Now we've had 1 from a normal monster, so we're at 8 and 1 after most of the first map. But there's still more, actually. There's still more monsters. Definitely grab this Heisty cache. Didn't get a blueprint, unfortunately, but we'll take it. I think that's the first time I've ever seen 2 of the same divination card drop from the same trash monster. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Granted, I've never really tried to quantity farm a common divination card. And this is effectively quantity farming because there's so much increased item quantity in the Scourge dimension. So we got 8 divination cards from the Krangleverse. We've still got 1 more visit to go. 8 from the Krangleverse, 1 from the normal map. And we'll just confirm that that's correct. So I'll put a note to that in the stream name. And results, maps 1, normal monster, normal drops 1, Scourge drops 8. So we'll just keep that in the stream name so that we can keep tabs on exactly how we are going here. And we've got a whole bunch of pre-rolled things here. Nice to get a logbook early on. Not something I was farming for, but you always take the little things that come along. And then we're just going to keep going with the next one. So exact same methodology. Going to keep pushing through these and see how we go. So we're back to 0 from drops for this map. Normally you get like 2 or 3 from the normal map. So getting only 1 was unusually low, and I'm not sure if 8 was unusually high from the Krangleverse. Sort of feels it, but then again, that's something we haven't really tested yet. There's a whole bunch of monsters. They're gone. Good. Oh, nice. I assume that was really brutal. Wave 30. Alright, so we're at 1 from Krangleverse and 0 from the normal content this map. And we're up to the next fork in terms of our progression through there. So we got to here in the Krangleverse. We'll jump down this way. This should be a... I think this is a... Oh no, this isn't a dead end. This is the boss. I think... Yeah, it is. Oh, yep. So, left ring Verity's you're talking about there. A left magic ring Verity's Veil. Okay, so there's 2 loyalty drops from the Krangleverse again. It seems like they're dropping mostly from there. We're at 3 and 0 for this map. And we'll just open that chest, because why not? One thing about this tile set is it's pretty manageable in this pretty manageable for this experiment, like because of the specific layout of it. Yeah, Kosis is like Kosis takes a fair bit of practice to get the hang of, and he's really tanky apparently in high waves, like really over the top tanky. Multiple Shapers worth of hit points, I've heard, if you get him late. Alright, so we've done everything in this area. Push around and see how we go. There's 1 from the regular map. Oh, we've already done here. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't play nice sometimes, does he? Leather belt, that could be good. Probably won't be. Alright, what are we going to take guesses on? Wormsmolt or Wormsmolt, Headhunter, or what? So that's 2 from the regular map. 3 from Krangle, 2 from regular. It's Pyroshot Clasp. Okay, it's one of the rarer ones. I'm actually wearing that. That's just common as... Oh, Speaker's Wraith. That's quite common now. Alright, so we're at 3 from the normal map and 2 from the Krangleverse so far. Oh, sorry, 3 from the Krangleverse, 2 from the normal map. It should be heavy belts now that should be causing you to jump. Mage Blood is much more expensive. 2 and 4, this map. Two and 4, and I think we've just got a couple more monsters in the normal map to clear out, and then we're done with this one. I don't think we're going to get another visit to the Krangleverse, and we're not. Okay, so 2 and 4 that time. We will update the stream title once I can actually get through there. We're getting about 200 every time, so that's 3 from the normal content and 12 from the Scourge content now. That's our current drops that we've got. I probably shouldn't have picked up that stupid 6-socket 5 link. But anyways, it can sit there. You can all sit there. You can sit there. I will run those other heist things at some point. Okay, there's 1 from a regular monster. And for the record, we're getting to about 210 stacks of the Scourge debuff in these maps, which is pretty high. Alright, that's another map in the... That's another drop of loyalty in the Krangleverse. So that'll be 1 and 1. What did this roll? Oh, that's hit tier 10 now. How nasty is that? Oh, that's actually pretty good. I'm looking forward to running that. I should probably run some... I should probably Scourge some other maps up, not Grottos. So yeah, we're at 1 and 1 currently for this map. Oh, get out of the way of that thing. That's that big drop on the head thing that comes down. That's one of those really deadly telegraph moves that some of the monsters have. It is a one-shot, that effect. Probably not at this lower tier, but it is something that can one-shot you easily. You know, even in a low-tier map, once you start getting a bunch of stacks of exposed to corruption. Alright, that's all for that area. That area is done. You know, that's actually less dangerous than 6,000 physical for a lot of builds. I've had one that was 12,000 fizz, which I ended up just selling. It's like, yeah, that's somewhat far beyond what anyone can do unless they're ridiculously brick tanked. It's like, here, eat a Shaper Slam every time that you phase. Alright, that's in the Krangleverse. So we've had one in the real map and the rest are all Krangleverse ones so far. That is indeed, yeah. That's 1 from 3, that's what I thought. Alright, so we got as far as the boss room. This is a good spot to phase shift. If that person that's pinging me in chat is in stream, it'll be fine for the moment as well. I'll be fine by myself for this, but I will just ping them back in a sec. 5-link can stay on the ground, unfortunately. They're okay, so now we have had we've had 2 in Krangleverse and 2 in regular zones so far on this one, on this map, and that is 3 in the Krangleverse, and we'll push forward. I should be able to jump back into the Krangleverse in a sec, but we've had 3 of the loyalty cards drop here and 2 in the normal map. We don't want to do the Abyss in the Krangleverse because we're going to get ported away from it, which will wreck it. Looks like we've killed everything in the Krangleverse, but not in the normal map. or close to. We'll still get a few more monsters. There's another thing, like, getting multiple uniques from the same monster gives a sense as to just how much the Krangleverse does drop once you start getting to, well, 259, that's why. That's crazy. I didn't see where this one dropped, so I'm not going to count it. I think it dropped in the Krangleverse, but I'm going to assume that we can't count it. It's a genuinely unknown. And let's just pop the Abyss. Something to do. This is part of the normal map, so it will contribute some regular monsters. But they'll also... Oh yeah, they're present in the Krangleverse as well. Which is what I thought they would be. That was definitely a Scourge monster. And we've missed a couple of monsters in this zone. So we're going to go and try and find them. So, at the moment we have one of these was from an indeterminate location. 4 of them are from the Krangleverse, and 2 are from the... 2 of them are from the regular monsters in the map. So we're just going to call that 2 and 4. And the other one is going to disappear from the statistics. I used to work in aircraft technical records and doing a lot of data analytics, and that's till quite recently. Kohat Kenobi. Also have a maths background. Like, not statistics, but maths in general. I can't jump back, can I? Okay, so that is 3 maps. We have 5 from the regular zone, 16 from the Scourge. We are going to put that up as a result, and we are going to push on with the next one. And we are going to dump loot. Uniques are definitely, like, it's really noticeable how many uniques are dropping in the Krangleverse as well. So I think that'll continue to be the case as we're going through. Also, I should, oh, that's right, I got this thing to upgrade. Rarity, bricked. Oh well, that's to be expected. Remind me at the end of this map, if I'm stupid enough to forget again, which I probably will be, that I need to do a... I need to grab something for the Krangulator. Otherwise it feels like a bit of a waste not having the Krangulator running, especially for maps, but also just for regular loot. There's always something you can put in there that's useful. Usually I like the unset ring uniques. Are my favourite so far. So we're 0 and 0 from this map. Yeah, I stayed with academia and maths up to honours, and then was like, nah, I'm out of here. This is enough. So you get access to the second slot by spending more points in your... let me just bring up the... As soon as it's safe, I'll bring up the interface. So, by spending these points, you'll get access to Crushed Organs, and then to Restless Nightmares. That starts your increasing of Krangle slots. There is a third increase, which comes up when you get the 3rd map boss killed. So when you've killed all 3, not map bosses, the 3rd Scourge boss. Once you kill 3 different Scourge bosses, at that point you will pick up your final upgrade. All right, there's one in the Krangleverse. What I'm thinking we're going to get out of this is that one of the best farming strategies I think this league will be running maps that have a premium tile set drop, whether that be Saint's Treasure, whether it be the Scout, whether it be something else. Just running those maps and really focusing hard on amplifying the Krangleverse as much as you can. Killing as many monsters in there as you can get. I think that'll be a strong strategy this league. Because if it is, like, at the moment it looks like what we're getting, it's too early to say this for sure, but it looks like what we're going to be finding out results-wise is that doing the Krangleverse about as thoroughly as I'm doing here is like having a gilded divination scarab in every map. So that was a Krangleverse drop. Oh, I haven't finished the Legion yet, have we? Do hate Legion. But it will replenish it. Okay, that was a regular drop. So one regular drop from this map. Yeah, that'll be absolutely a big thing. Like tower, armory, just whatever you prefer out of those, really. I don't think there'll be a best choice. It'll just be your favorite. Tower, armory, alleyways, tropical island. Any of those maps should be really good. I'm finding that there's a bunch of empty areas in this Krangleverse. Kato box. I kind of like these things. Do I have an elk for it? I don't. And I'm just going to Varl it. These are just fun Varl because you get some interesting 8 mod maps out of them. Alright, so that's 2 from the regular monsters. And, oh. Did I say something about getting interesting 8 mod maps? Did I mean interesting scoured maps? Rip my Varl orb. I should have elked that. But laziness wins out. Laziness is good at winning. That's a mistake on my loot filter. I need to fix that. I'm too lazy to do it though. Perandus Blazon should not be coming up as a premium drop. I think it's their... Laziness is a virtue. That's 3 from the regular monsters in this map. This is what we say about small sample sizes and randomness. Small sample sizes very much tell you nothing about random events. Like that first map was kind of nuts. That's another example of something that needs to come off the filter. Taproot. Why is Taproot coming up as an intriguing item? No, it's not. I think it was being price manipulated at the time I made my filter. Fun fact, I got the idea from this experiment after noticing that most of my heist contract drops came from the Krangleverse. Okay, do we get nothing back to there? We've basically done this this map. We've got one more visit to the Krangleverse, which we will take. And we'll take it sort of near the entrance to the map. Near the path fork there. So it's around here that we want to go in. And see if we can find anything more. I'm going to skip the Grove. Low tier Grove is a hassle. I shouldn't use the portal there. Anyway. Portal in the Krangleverse is awkward. Something I don't recommend. Alright, so we had 3 and 3 in this map. 3 came from each of the types of content. From the classic monsters in the map, and 3 from the Krangleverse. And we will just update that in the stream name. So we're at 8 and 19 currently. When we can start to say something, I think, is when we hit about 200 total drops. Although then there'll still be a large degree of uncertainty. And that fact is the reason that I went for such a common divination card. Because I wanted to be able to farm 200 of it in a couple of play sessions. Alright, so we got 1 loyalty there. That was from the Krangleverse. Ghost dropped... Tormented Scarab from the Invasion Moss. Last thing I care about is getting that specific Scarab. Okay, so that's also from the Krangleverse. Now I'm going to have an issue where that last monster that I fought is going to have a volatile that's going to come up and try and surprise me at some point in the future. Hey, 4 Chaos Orbs, nice. Invasion bosses are good, in case you weren't aware. People should take the invasion boss node. That's correct. Let's just tank that. That is correct, Kohat Kenobi. It's a very common card, but it's also one that's on my filter. It probably shouldn't be on my filter this league. In fact, I've taken single fusings off, so it definitely shouldn't be on it. But for the moment, it is. Everything's from the Krangleverse so far, this map. From my loyalty drops, I've had a few of them. Haven't been counting, but I know that they're all from the Krangleverse. The other thing I like about Grotto specifically is that it is an easy tile set to navigate and to full clear, or, you know when you sort of pseudo full clear it, like you miss a couple of monsters in the map, but you've got most of them. It's really easy to find your way around and not miss stuff. And also, it's easy to navigate in the Krangleverse as well, which is a big deal, because that can be quite disorienting, the shifting in and out. I'm also, just for sake of the methodology being clearer, I am chisel elking these maps and re-rolling mods I can't beat, but the chiseling and elking should affect equally the Krangleverse and the normal monsters, so I don't think that is any impact on the outcome. So another heist contract, like I said, they were the thing that clued me in on just how much was dropping in the Krangleverse, because I was just finding that almost all the ones I was looting were from Scourge monsters. Something dropped, it's not a div card. We'll grab that on the way out. Yeah, also Grotto has low tier versions, which is just makes things easier in here. One thing that would affect this the other way is that if you were sectioning these maps, that would increase the regular drop pool more than it increases the Krangleverse. It's another Krangleverse drop. We got one of them to deal with. So that's it. Everything's Krangleverse this map. That off-screen one would have been the Krangleverse, because I haven't been up there in the normal world. Yeah, nothing's been killed there in the normal world. So I'm confident that was a drop there. Cassia will probably drop something. Just having to spam flasks to stay alive there. I just had someone question me that's interested in getting involved in this project in Discord. Alright, sorry about that. Hey, Lonzo, how's it going, man? For those of you that have just joined, my goal here is to try and get some sort of estimate as to what percentage of a very common drop comes from the Krangleverse, the Scourge monsters, and what percentage comes from the regular monsters in the map, and other sort of map events like Legion and Blight and stuff like that. So currently, you'll see in the stream title what the current totals are. This map, every single copy of the divination card I'm tracking has dropped from the Krangleverse. So that's going to further amplify that further amplify the effect you see once we record them. Hey, Monkey, how's it going? And that's one that's come from the regular monsters on the map. I think it's pretty limited ways. So I suspect that the duplicating of rare monsters with a prophecy definitely works. Lonzo, not so great actually at the moment. We've got, I mean, I'm in Melbourne, so I'm in the city that's got the worst situation with COVID at the moment. I am basically treating it like we're still pretty much under lockdown, even though, you know, that's not the legal situation. I am being basically very careful with everything COVID related currently. So we're currently at 9 from 33 from normal monsters, so it's about a 30-70 split that we've got so far. But that's only from 5 maps. We're going to keep going. Yeah, no, it hasn't been like it's not great in Melbourne. I was doing a risk assessment for something I do outside of gaming, and we were thinking of having indoor events and realised that the situation, well, my assessment was that having an indoor meeting of 40 people, which is legal now, as long as you have check-in and stuff, would be a higher risk than every individual in that drink driving home. So on that basis, it was like, oh, okay, we're not going to do that. But that was sort of, yeah, not a good situation currently. Oh, yeah, bit of rarity farming, yeah. Slippery Jim 8 seems to has done a bunch of testing of that. He's a great guy, streams a fair bit. Aussie from Queensland way. Does a whole bunch, and he's done it. He sort of does a bunch of stuff where he'll be super crazy in terms of like how in depth he'll get in running things thousands of times. He was the evil mastermind behind the 10,000 burial chambers farm a few leagues back, and also a bunch of other stuff too. Yeah. Slippery Jim's great. I have a lot of time for him. Fun fact: I actually thought I asked him this, and turned out that he's not the same person. But there's someone that I know vaguely that is like an absolute dead ringer for Slippery Jim. It's crazy. It's like someone that I knew back 2012 era. If I jump into the Krangleverse now, that usually causes an extra pack to spawn. Yeah, it did. That seems to happen every time you jump in. There'll be one pack will spawn near you, in addition to whatever's already in there. That's just a useful way to do this. Yeah, Chris, well, my goal here is that the sample size actually doesn't need to be a large number of maps, because it'll be a large number of divination cards. That's why I picked a divination card that's so common. Whereas if I'd done something that was more desirable, like Saint's Treasure, which is what I was originally thinking of doing, I realised I was going to need to do quite a lot of maps. Oh, oops, I didn't mean to jump into the Krangleverse. Anyways, I'll do it. I was meaning to have a look and see what's there. Ah, Divine Orb on there. From last time I did a ritual. Not having much drop this map, although we're only at 106 Scourge counter. And that, yeah, there we go. There we're starting to see some loyalty cards dropping. So that's our first one for this map. And that was a Krangleverse monster, which I think will be the default. It'll mostly be Krangleverses. Hey, nice. Yeah, Griffin, I think you can see from the numbers in the stream title, I can't look at them right now, but like overwhelmingly the the loyalty cards are coming from the Krangleverse, which is what I expected, but I did want to test it properly because obviously I get things wrong, and that's what the scientific method is good for, is testing things when you are biased as a researcher. Well, researcher being a bit of a stretch term, but I'll call it research. But yeah, the scientific method's good at actually dealing with those biases that you happen to have. So what you can do, Loons Out, if you want something that's an in-between thing you can do now, is find an interaction that looks cool, then look for someone that's playing something vaguely similar to it, and start your build based off like not a copy of theirs, but taking heavy inspiration from their build. So let's say that you decide that you want to use the interaction between Divine Ire and the Stormfire unique ring to ignite, and you then go and look for someone else that's playing that exact setup, but you don't necessarily copy theirs. You just look and say, oh, okay, these are 6 build decisions they've made. This is why I think they've made them, and this is why I'm either making the same decision or going to go my own way and do something different on that specific decision, on that specific choice, I mean. Okay, so that loyalty card that dropped there is from the Krangleverse monsters. It's from a Krangle Fiend. I think that's what we'll call him. Krangle Fiend? Krangle Friend, maybe? So now everything that's dropped in this map has still been from the Krangleverse. Every copy of the card. More uniques. So many uniques that are dropping doing this. Like, this is the most extreme example of rarity farming I think I've ever seen. And it might actually be one of the best ways to target farm if you like a Mage Blood. Because you get so many more uniques doing this than pretty much anything else. Especially if you were to add in Reliquary Scarabs. I'm not using any Scarabs at the moment. I think Tainted Oil was an experiment to see whether how much people tied the Identity of Corruption to the immunity to further modification. And I also think it was because they expected Leadership's price to be a chase item, and then it wasn't. But then with the Tainted Oils, now I think it's the most underrated item in the game. It's so good, that item. Okay, so there's one that's come from normal content here. What do we have here? These are... What's 38% on those? It's not very high. Alright, so we've got a grotto map. We've got... We will take this. We'll take... if we take this, then we lose everything else. Bestiary Scarab will be back. No, I think I'll just defer that. And I'm not sure what that's worth, so I'm going to defer it just in case I'm underestimating its price. Yeah, you can do that, Chris, and you can also be like you can vary the amount that you take from the builds as well. Like, you can take their passive tree but change the gear around a lot. You can do all sorts of things like that. Or you can choose to go for a direct copy. It just comes down to how confident you are in the amount you diverge from their decisions. Okay, so that's 2 that have come from normal content and 5 that have come from the Krangleverse in this one. Two normal, 5 Krangle. And that may just be the last ones we get. Oh, I think we'll get back in there, actually. That'll be quite good. We'll get more up here, I think, if we can get back into the zone. Oh, yes, we can. Nice. Not the card we're looking for. So we're still at 5 and 2. But we'll take it. Aura Effect, I think, is the most powerful stat in the game at the moment. It's one of those things, it's really a weird setup that we've got where the best stat in the game is something that's really not obvious to a lot of players. Yeah, and that's fine. If you know, like, designing your own builds is something that you do if you feel like, do it if it makes the game more fun for you. And if it doesn't make the game more fun, then don't do it. Alright, so that one was our 6th map. As 11 drops from the normal monsters, and we now have 29 from the Krangleverse. So we are seeing a very strong pattern emerging here, that the vast majority of loot is coming from the Krangleverse. Even with stuff like rituals throwing in a bit of extra on the side. Also, basically every unique we're dropping is coming from the Krangleverse as well. Alright, let's run another one. Now, in 2 hours' time, I'm going to be on the Fated Connections podcast with Catmaster OP. So if people are keen to check that out, I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with when it's going to be online, but it'll be on Catmaster's YouTube channel. If you don't follow Catmaster on Twitch, he's worth following. Hey, we're getting a lot of rituals at the moment. This is good. There's an endgame grind to do rituals, and I may be in the mood for endgame grinds this league. Okay, there's one from the regular monsters. I forgot to put things into the Krangleverse, into the Krangulator as well. Why am I... Oh, I have swapped weapons. That's why I'm unable to do anything. Whoops. I'm going to skip the Zana mission unless it is another grotto. Or a map I haven't done, in which case I'll just take a quick bypass. No, it can't be a map I haven't done. They're all very high tier. Okay, so that's 2 more in the Krangleverse. Yeah, Baylor's on it as well. Baylor's on, Tenkia's on. It should be really good. I'm looking forward to it. It's been good to get on a couple of podcasts lately. So there's a Primordial div card, which is one of the ones that's one of the rarer tile set drops here. Deliberately not picking that because it's so much rarer than what we're looking for. And we want things that'll drop quickly, things that are going to take a couple dozen maps, not a couple hundred, to get a decent sample size on. Actually, come to think of it, Zana could have something good. She could have a unique map for me that I need. And also, let's do the breach. I won't count anything that drops in the breach because it's not clear whether it's dropped from a breach monster or whether it's dropped from a Scourge monster. Oh, now it's clear that it's from the map, so I can count it now because we're no longer in the Krangleverse. Hey, nice. Invasion bosses are good, just in case people weren't aware. Yeah, contracts are great, especially if you sort them. If you're willing to take the effort to sort them, you'll get a lot for them. If you're not willing to take the effort to sort them, someone will buy them off you that is willing to put in that effort and will make money that you've left on the table. But sometimes it's right to leave money on the table. You know, like you can't be bothered doing what's necessary to get it. I'm going to spend that time farming more. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Just doing some farming of grottos for an experiment that I wanted to try out. Seeing what percentage of loot from maps comes from Scourges. And it's a lot higher than a lot of people would have you believe. So, what are we going to take here? We will take the... firstly, is there anything new that's good? 6% fizz.multi, yeah, we're definitely taking that. Even at 6%, that's free currency there. Everything else, unless that's amazing... Triggered spells deal 35% increased spell damage. I haven't seen this mod. I'm just going to assume that that has some niche use that I'm not thinking of. And then everything else can just get put in the... Yeah, I'll take that and then leave the rest. Quick check of Zana. What are you offering me today, mate? You have no unique maps for me? No. Okay. See ya. Bye. That was an unfortunate placement of that Vile Fireball. Completely wasted it. Alright. Oh well. Oh, 10k, how's it going, man? See you in Faded in a couple hours, hey. 2 hours now. I just realised it was you. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your handle right either there. I'm looking forward to Faded today. That should be something a bit different, a bit of fun. And... Close enough, alright. I'll try and get it right if I can, but... If you're not fast, you're not fast. Oh, I got a Danig encounter. Alright, so that's from the regular monsters. Let's go use the last of this Krangle Juice down here because I'm not going to come back here. Alright, that's cool. That's, oh yeah, Infernal Mantle. Really do like doing these expedition encounters now. They're really strong. I have to actually click the Scourge device here. It's the only way you can use it, and that's that location. Now, what do we got here? Anything particularly good or not? Okay, everything looks irrelevant so far. Increased number of magic monsters is fine. But we don't have any of the good multipliers, so we'll just take whatever. Which will probably actually be quite a lot of stuff because we have the expanded explosion range, which is nuts. So strong. The Lyra Arthane passives for Expedition are so strong that not taking them is just objectively wrong, I think. Whether you like Expedition or not, they're the best thing on the tree. On the entire tree. Now, there should be a respawn. Oh, yeah. Oh, yikes. I should probably not get hit by that. No packs in there either. Really odd positions of monsters in this map. We killed everything there. I think we have. Yeah, I can't see the Expedition ones saying as strong as they are now. They're just nuts. Like I say, you have to take them. And I don't think that's a healthy situation for the game to be in, where it's like it's so much better than anything else that you feel like it's objectively wrong not to take them. There's a bunch of loyalty cards. I think their goal should be that everyone that likes Expedition content takes them, and everyone that doesn't like Expedition doesn't take them. That should be the goal. Yeah, 4 of the 6 are required. The other two are just optional if you want to specialize more. The increased quantity of explosions, the increased radius of explosions, though, those two are nuts. Oh, that section is nuts. I think they're two different nodes, and they're not in the same one. One thing that's crazy about low tier farming with Scourge is how much you can get the Krangleverse up to high numbers. I can't go back in at the moment. Like, 257 in this, and I almost have enough juice over to go in again. We got 12 of the div card, which were 9 and 3 in this one. So let's just update the thing. So it's 7, 14 from normal content, 38 from Scourge drops. So let's create that and just go to a dump tab and go deposit everything. Yeah, it is. It is. Map layout is huge. The thing is that it's not just the layout in an absolute sense though. It's how it interacts with your build. Like how do you project damage around corners? That's something that's different from build to build. How good you are at that, and so some builds will do better than others at some aspects of the Krangleverse. The other thing is just how much you can tank, which again pushes you to low tier stuff. Harvest is a good point, actually. Yeah, Enraged Monkey makes a good point that Harvest is a strong contender for the best thing on the entire Atlas. Though that is very trade league oriented. Like Harvest is not nearly as strong in SSF. Wants the stupid flask, they can have the flask. Distillate, 320 in the 9 tab. I'm liking the invaders a lot as well because they're super low effort. What's the reason on this that this is selling? It's because it's 12% quantity. Harvey is definitely good, yeah. Ancient Orbs are going to go up too. I was talking with Catmaster about this, and Tenkie was in that chat actually, in preparation for Faded. We think that all of the sources of random belts are undervalued at the moment, and that they're all going to go up. So that's Ancient Orbs, that's Divination Card, the Wretched, and a couple others. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ancient Orbs hit 40 or 50C this league. Pharaoh Apes, yeah, Pharaoh Apes. What else is there? Like, really just anything like that. The Wretched, Pharaoh Ape, anything that... Any RNG method of getting a mage blood. There's another Krangleverse card. A whole bunch of Herald of Thunders hit 20, nice. Should actually fix that at some point. Yeah, the Belt Beast and... what else? See, I'm not taking Heist despite liking Heist. I just don't think the Heist nodes are good enough to take at the moment. And that's because the Expedition ones are so much better. Now, it'd be different if I wasn't a Trade League player. But I think that that's something that's really the case at the moment, that the Expedition nodes are so good that they crush out any choice of taking the Heist ones. Because the blight stuff... oh, yeah, I guess you could... No, you could drop the blight stuff I've got. Actually, that's true. You can justify taking the heist stuff. I'm wrong there. I'm forgetting that the blight stuff's not as good as it was last league because there's not a blight endgame grind. That was the thing that motivated me to take it at the start of the league, and I've been in a state of inertia and not changed it. Yeah, I guess I can see that niche use if you're the sort of person that is yikes, move speed optimized for have a character that's optimized for move speed. I've missed a section of this map. See, instant Krangleverse phase, 3 loyalty cards straight away from it. Sort of bonkers there. Yep, agreed on that. Does lose value over time. I'm going to assume I haven't been in here. Oh no, that's just the respawns from Scourge. Okay, so we had 6 and 2 in that one. Sorry, no, not 6 and 2, 7 and 1. 7 and 1. So we're at exactly 3/4 now. Let's just do a quick estimate. Yeah. We still can't say much as yet. We don't have, the sample size is still too small to say much. So we only have 15 that we've found as, we've only had 15 regular drops. I think we really need to get that to about 80 or 100. Yeah, Expedition's like Blight in that it's a lot of fun when it's not in every map. That's my attitude to Expedition. One thing I gotta say I don't like about the current state of the Atlas is that doing Elva missions in particular feels so bad when you don't have the points allocated, and you kind of need to unallocate, reallocate for it. Delirium is something where I feel like Delirium would work better if it was Scarab based. And the Scarabs were genuinely rare. Like, as rare as their power would indicate they should be. I don't think Delirium works that well as a random proc. It's like, you feel like you want to do content that's miles below your character's power in order to optimize the Deliriums you do get. Game is trying to give me a lot of those Praetor Crown uniques. Mjolnir? No. It's something that dropped behind. Primordial again. There's our, I wish I was as good as Mjolnir item. Okay, so we've had one that's dropped from the regular map. Everything else has been Krangleverse. Yeah, Delirium is... It's like the interaction is just weird with Scourge. Like, if you are actively thinking about it, min-maxing it, you can definitely make the two work well together. But if you're just running them as they come, then Delirium makes Scourge feel really bad, and vice versa. You can use the sort of forced teleport sometimes to your advantage, but it's usually just detrimental and annoying more than anything else. No, you can still use the Scourge. You just need to drop in and out quickly. Like, you need to be in there, in out, in and out, in and out. I don't think that's the case with the splinters. I've certainly had... I've had splinters from a map. That's from the regular monsters. That was a Beyonder that dropped that. I may have been fixed early then, because I certainly haven't noticed anything as bad as that. Yeah, I know that feeling of you don't do it because it's potentially there. So we had 11, which was 9 and 2 this time. So normal drops are 17, and Scourge drops are 54. That was 9 maps. Certainly everything is reinforcing the same pattern. And we will start this one. Dump 6. Drop a whole bunch of junk in here. Regular map by 1. The interaction with Breach and the new mechanic is really interesting when you're solo. Just being teleported around under your control is super strong with Breach, or at least it can be if you use it carefully. Not so much in good Breach tile sets, but in the weaker ones, it can be really useful to get teleported around. It's 1 from the Krangleverse. So we're at 1 and 1 now, aren't we? Yep, 1 and 1. That looks like it'd be a good spot in the Krangleverse, but there's no normal monsters there. I can't get in. they bad filter from early league still. Need to fix. That's yeah, that's that thing. Lols. That makes me think I should probably run one of the stupid ads so that people that join the stream don't get stuck with one. I'll do one after this map. I'll run one of the ads deliberately so that then people that join don't get hit with a whole bunch of them on joining. Hey, it's an oppressor! Just what I always wanted. Good old elegant round shield. Like, you know that that's never going to be disappointment, right? Oh yeah, that's a good point. I am kind of curious how many... yeah, because it's always 3 white sockets, isn't it? I am curious how many oppressors I get, though, over the league. Because I have a theory of how unique rarity works. And if I'm correct, then there's 243 oppressors for every 1 squire. I'm not sure that I'm right, but that's my theory. So that gives you a bit of a sense as to how close you are to getting one. Well, not that luck works that way, but... it gives you a sense as to how much farming you're doing, like what your expected number of drops in a league would be. So the reason for that is that I suspect that each tier of rarity is a multiplicative factor of 3 in how common the item is. And yeah, it is like seeing a unique leather belt, like Enrage says. It's like it's. I'm going to go get those last little corner spots because the Krangleverse should be really good in them. Well, I just think that Headhunter and Friends would be Mage Blood and Co. would be 1 tier rarer than than their tier would otherwise suggest. Sorry, 1 tier rarer than tier 1, so tier 0. I think Headhunter was tier 1 back when it was a, like, same rarity as Rizlatha's Coil back when it was a league-specific item. So I only got 6 little doggos in that map. So we're now at 19, and Scourge drops are at 58, and that was 10 maps done. So people say that 10k, but I saw no evidence of it being rarer than Rizlatha's Coil. Every person that did any sort of significant ancient orbing and that kept statistics, it indicated that it was the same rarity as Rizlatha's Coil, roughly, like within a little bit. So I'm assuming that they upped it 1 tier over what it used to be, which was drop restricted and Rizlatha's rarity. I don't think ancient orbs do use a different table. I just think it's every belt that's viable. This is from just, perusing everything that goes on Reddit. Ancient orbs, chance orbs, and regular drops, I think they all work roughly the same way. How oppressive. How oppressive. Reward rather than drop. This is unidentified corrupt. I don't actually know what this has got in it, so I might end up having a bad time in this one. Oh, and I was wanting to put maps in the Crangulator as well. Let's just put some low tier ones in there. Maps, tile sets that are not horrible, so that's none of you. Oh, you have a good div card. Oh, you've already been crangled. You've been crangled at 10. Okay. Okay, what do we got here? This, no, we're not wasting those. We want to use this. We'll do these. These are okay. Let's just ID these and scour them and stick them in the Scourgifier. I suspect that that works the same way as well. Like, for instance, if I am right, that you get 3 copies of... If you get 3 copies of Cold Iron Point for every Siobhan's Wrappings that drop, in normal... Oh, no, actually, they're not the same base type. If I'm right that you get 3 copies of... What are 2 things that are the same item spot that are 1 apart? Cold Iron Point is tier 3. What's a tier 2 dagger? Volcanus is a tier 2 dagger, I think. So... If you would get 3 3 Cold Iron Point drops for every 1 Volcanus, then I think you would get 3 times as many from Delirium or from Ancient Orbs. That's my understanding of it. I'm not certain on that. Oh, we've got the Delirium. All right, we're not in a. This is not a reflect map. This will have a lot more drops, but that's fine because it should bias the regular drops the same way as it biases the drops from the Krangleverse. I think Siobhan's and Infernal Mantle have always been very different rarities to each other. Like, they used to compete in the sense of... they used to compete for Chance Orbs. It's a Krangleverse card. I think Kadiro had something different going on. I do think Kadiro did something weird. I will say that. Yeah, that went crud. Like, I think Kadiro always had some form of the pick the rarest of X items hidden in it that I then explicitly got for a bit. Because there are a bunch of other things you almost never saw from Kadiro. You never saw common currency from him. And that's one of the most common rewards in the game, is common currency items. So, you know, stuff like an armorer's scrap. You absolutely never saw that. Like, it was clearly prohibited from giving you that in some way. Anyways, like, I mean, we're not exactly... no one's certain how it works. It's just... I speculated based on a bunch of, you know, just a bunch of reading that may or may not be right in the end. It is indeed. It is indeed fun to try and reverse engineer how they make drops work. Legion. Most dull and uninspired mechanics still in the game, I think. Let's watch that annoy a lot of people. I don't think anyone would run Legion except for the fact that it's so lucrative loot-wise and has a couple of unique rewards as well. Like the 5 ways. The 5-way map device. Yeah. So, like, a lot of what we know about it now comes from Paul Fishwife's work. I don't know if you've seen what she came up with there. Why on? Oh, that's why I've got that. It's because one of the bosses spawned. All right, so that gave us 2 loyalties from the Legion monsters. Beyond is going to... Like, Beyond is such a player favourite that that'd be really hard to get rid of. I think Beyond has some problems with it, but it is so popular with such a section of the player base that it'll be hard to get rid of. I also feel Scourge is made to replace Beyond at first, yeah, but... And I like Scourge a lot. I'd be happy with that trade, but... I don't know, I think it's just, it's too popular a mechanic to get rid of lightly. And it's popular for reasons that are not just, it's one of the top loot fountains in the game. Like, people like it for the mechanics of it as more than the loot drops. Okay, so what do we have there? We had 5 cards, which were 2 from... Let's fix that. Fix that up. So it's 21 and 61. So the moment we're basically at Scourge is a quadrupling of loot drops. And then that's not even factoring in the rarity. That's for the entire map. But the error bar on that's going to be pretty high. I think one of the things that's frustrating, though, is that all of the sample sizes that get done for things like that are too small to say anything meaningful about a lot of things. Like, for instance, if you take, for instance, Ancient Orbs in the 3.13 era. Like, everyone on Reddit was convinced that it was 1 in 350 to get a Headhunter. Now, it might have been right, but it was based on tiny sample sizes like 50,000. Which is actually tiny. Even though it sounds not tiny, like intuitively that sounds like a massive sample size. In practice, it's tiny because you're going on a small number of successes. Oh, that's got that's really good. That's got Stack Deck on it. And Legion Splinters. That's also good. You need to go off a large number of successes, and that's the reason that I've got this. That I'm doing this setup specifically with such a common div card is that I will have a lot of successes on it. Yeah, exactly. And, like, that is completely worthless, especially given that there's going to be reporting bias involved. You're only going to reveal your data if it surprised you or if it confirmed a bias that you thought was true. Like, if you were interested by your data in some way. There was a card at the end of that. So that's why, in order to have anything remotely scientific, you need to announce what you're testing before you do it as well, which is something no one does. That's why I put up that little YouTube video, that really short one before, that was like, hey, I'm doing this test. It's because it means that if I end up with my hypothesis is proven wrong, which I don't think it will be now, that Scourge drops a shitload of loot, then that would mean that it would be known to people still that was the case. It's not like, oh, found nothing of interest, therefore let's bury the findings. I do love what happens with Vile Fireball when you come out of the Krangleverse there and you wind up with a Fireball, like seeing your own Fireballs. At least you can have an intuitive sense, though, of when you are... Like, the intuitive sense I use is reasonable margin of error is equal to twice the square root of whichever is larger, the number of successes or the number of failures. Sorry, whichever is smaller of those two. Like, that is just a really basic, you know, what is an estimate of two standard deviations. You're not even calculating anything, but you're just doing something that's a reasonable approximation then. Like, that's just a sanity check more than anything else. Yeah, you're going to... Like, what you could do to do that, you could maximize your number of successes by counting the total number of shards you get. And that would probably be more useful because otherwise your results are going to be dominated by the number of Exalt shards you get in each. And that is actually quite variance dependent. That's assuming you get 0 mirror shards, which you would expect to get 0 of in that smaller sample size. Like, you'd be very surprised to get 1. I would have gone total shards. Like, I would have put everything on my loot filter, including, like, engineer shards and that, and just gone with the total amount of shards you got. Because I don't believe anyone has ever indicated any evidence of a bias towards specific shards at specific tiers. Hey, Barry Boo. Don't have a profile setup thing at the moment. Basically, though, this is low tier farming on a fireball character that is using obliteration for corpse explosions and elementalist for ascendancy to make those ignite. It's not particularly strong. It's sort of serviceable without being strong. Oh yeah, core suspicious. Yep, that's going to mess that up, isn't it? Oh well, that's there goes that plan. And this is why we have peer review here. So we have 8, 2 of which were from trash mobs. So we are now at 23 and 65. And that is from 12. So we have now had 88 of the loyalty divination card drop. And we have had 3/4 of them have come from Scourge monsters. Which is sort of what I expected coming into this. There'd be 3/4. Yeah, and you can say it's not scientific, and that's fine. At that point, I would probably want something like... I would want to have 70 stacks. If you're counting Ancient plus Ancient or Exalt as one, then I would count 70 stacks of Ancient... 70 total stacks would be what I'd be looking for to say you're starting to get some information that's meaningful. That is not worth doing further testing because it cost a fortune, lol. Oh, that's hilarious. I find there's a point at which I just can't put up with doing the harbingers. Like, they just get so boring. Yeah, beachheads are not good at the moment. I think there's a rule of thumb, though, for low investment content. Oh, sorry, just answering Enraged Monkey. Okay, Okay, so Mage Blood and Headhunter, we don't know. But it's widely speculated it's equal to the minimum level of the items, but we don't actually know that. As one from a trash mob. It's because it's beyond. We're getting more drops because of that. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a rule of thumb with any content that can be XP farmed, is that the people that XP farm it will pay more for it than the people who aren't interested in XP farming it would pay. That's like really true with pure breachstones. It's why people always get surprised. Why am I losing currency on pure breachstones? Why am I losing currency on 5-way Legion? And it's because the people that are just chasing XP and willing to spend currency for XP are paying more for it than you would. Like, they're paying more for it than the loot would indicate would be fair. Yeah, I find that beachheads are too boring. If I was wanting to do boring content for XP, I would do Scoured Heists. At least Scoured Heists, you'll have some interesting, random, weird stuff that will drop in loot. Your game is trying to throw so many profit crowns down my face at the moment. Yeah, Sideways Delver's good too. I find I'm too indisciplined in Delve to level because I keep going down instead of sideways, because down is more fun. Heist, at least, if you're just running them scoured, you know, it's like you don't have any pressure to go harder. Are temples particularly good XP an hour now? They weren't last time I tried them. I think it depends on the rooms a bit. Oops. Alright, that was a Krangleverse one. Oh, if you could do that, if you could sell XP, that would be one of the biggest changes they've ever made balance-wise to the game. Some sort of XP to XP transfer, and it would be so dominant in the... Like, RMT cheaters would be absolutely going nuts about that. That'd be the problem. That's the main reason I don't think they could ever do it. Oh, yeah. Was I right about it being Tier 2 and Tier 1 or not? Or are you talking about the quantity online? Maybe Volcanis is Tier 1 then. Or people just don't pick up Volcanis is the other possibility. I don't need to pick that up. Cold on point is definitely 3. Oh, unless it's 4. I don't think it's Tier 4. I'll have to check. Poor Fishwife has an amazing... had an amazing testing system that she used. Got a lot of good stuff out of it. A lot of good data out of that. So this map has had a lot more from the regular monsters because it's Beyond. Like, you really see how much Beyond adds to a map. And I have done the boss in this one, haven't I? I'm right at the entrance, too. Yeah, look, why don't I'm just going to quickly check that. I'll bring up Fishwife's info. But, of course, this is from Ultimatum now, so it's... both are tier 3. I think it's just that it'll just be a question of whether people are looting Volcanis or not. But Cold Iron Point is 3, but Volcanis was definitely confirmed to be 3 in 3.14. I just think people will probably filter it out. Whereas Cold Iron Point, if you get that, you go, oh, what a big drop. I'm going to take that for sure. So I think that's the difference there that's going on. Okay, so Twitch is in the middle of blasting an ad that I didn't even ask for. That's going to happen in a sec. But yeah, the never sync bias is tremendous. Absolutely massive, massive, massive. It's something that can't really be understated how big an impact that has on the economy. If he was to, if he hides heist contracts, then they'll quadruple in price. And likewise, the size of the minimum pile of heist coins that he puts on there has a huge impact. Oh, yeah. 85, 86 flasks. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's an impossible situation for him, hey. It's like, if you do put things on the filter, people get annoyed, and then if you don't, then it ends up twisting the economy. If he was to put them back on the filter, then they'd change in seconds. As they're not that rare. Alright, let's run one more of these. I forgot to put the details into the stream title, so let's do that while we're here. So that was the 13th, and this was 26 and 67. Yeah, it is. Alright, there's one from a regular monster. I love proliferation effects sometimes. Just watching the craziness there. Oh yeah, Barry, I'm all ears to hear that. I undoubtedly have a bunch of things that need to be fixed in there. But that gets me back to the life node I was wanting to get back. I had to unspec recently. He'll be in Act 10 for sure. You just go to Act 9 or 10. He'll definitely be there. It's 2 from the regular monsters. That one's from the Krangleverse. You're reminding me that I need to do all my Divine Vessel stuff. I've been really slack with that this league. Oh, go away, Exile. Sorry, folks, I wasn't talking to any of you there. I was talking to the stupid rogue Exile. That needs to be fixed on the filter too. Yeah, the Divine Orb and 5 flasks for the turns into 5 Divine Vessels. I think the thing with Exiles is that they're a good indicator of how much power creep there's been in this game's history. They used to be terrifying, but they were designed around having hit points for the power level of our characters at that time. Okay, so what's this quartz flask? It's forbidden taste. Shouldn't be an exalt tier sound, but if it divines well and it didn't, then it's really good. They never have things that where two recipes that are reverse of each other, they're never efficient like that. There'd be a huge loss in it if they were to put something like that in. Oh, I've got to crangle up these maps again. Yeah, invasion bosses were invasion bosses have been nerfed hard. Invasion bosses were savage in the Invasion League itself. I remember, like, that was hardcore only. I literally only got to level 5 in Invasion League. I tried like 5 times and kept wiping out to monsters on the monsters really early in the game. Okay, this is a 2-gen encounter. It's worth doing. So I haven't seen anything nuts, and I also haven't seen anything terrifying in these mods. So let's just grab what we can get. It's like really empty here. There's very few monsters, especially given how much space there is for these things. Yeah, Exiles definitely were fearsome, especially Igna Phoenix. If you played back then, you were scared of Igna Phoenix. She's aged like milk, but she was real scary at the time. Ugh. Expedition monsters and their ailments are terrifying. I think I might have hit one that's enemies can't be ignited. I hope not. If I did, that was a big derp. Still killing them. Yeah, derp bad. Oh well, splat. I hit one that was a what do you call it? Ailment immunity. Wasn't paying attention because I underestimated the monsters because it's a low tier map. Hey Colin, how's it going, mate? Yeah, that was the other thing because no, it's four loyalty cards from from the trash in this map. That's really unusual, or had been really unusual because the sample size is still small. This is going to change the results around a bit. Getting that many here. What I'm up to at the moment, so I'm going to be on the Faded Connections podcast in an hour and a bit. So I'm actually like right at the end of my stream at the moment. But what I'm doing is I'm testing the drop rates of Scourge content. And the way I'm doing that, my methodology is, well, actually, let me just do the method. That should work, hopefully, yeah. That's a summary of the methodology. But basically, I'm comparing how many of a very common div card drop from Scourge monsters to how many drop from the monsters that are native to the map. So that was a Scourge monster there. This map has had 4 from the natives, which is really unusual. All the rest have had like 1 or 2 or even 0. I just kill a boss. I off-screen the boss. Okay, that'll do. And now I'm going to go back to where that expedition was. But yeah, at the moment, I'm actually thinking it's not even a gilded div scarab. It's more like a winged one. They're the Scourge is absolutely nuts for adding monsters. Sorry, for adding divination card drops. Like crazy, crazy, crazy. Hey, Mysigan. Alright, so this here I derped. The expedition here I made immune to ailments, so it's going to be horrible. I am just stubbornly going to kill it because that way I'll learn my lesson and not be stupid in the future. And not repeat this mistake, hopefully. These monsters are super squishy. Like, they have like 20,000 hit points. But, yeah, they take a while to kill with a fireball that might do a large ignite, but only hits for a couple of thousand. Alright, so that was 4 and 4 in there. Just found a pretty sweet league start build. All you need is just a heavy belt. That's going to be unlikely there. The thing is with Mage Blood that it lets you use... You don't need to have use on full. You can do it with Enkindling Orbs, the ones that multiply the effect of the flask. That's why Mage Blood is so bonkers. It lets you work in conjunction with that. Anyways, folks, I am going to call a stream at this point because I wanted to do some testing, but I am going to take an hour off before the podcast I'm on later on. So what I was thinking we'll do is let's go raid Slippery Jim. Because he's cool. He does stuff like I'm doing now quite a lot, actually. I'll just quickly load up his stream myself. But thanks all, and definitely check out Catmaster OP's YouTube for when he puts on the podcast.
Which color is that one? It's top right drag, I don't know. It's not purple, it's not yellow. It's the green one? No, there's no higher one. That one has a face on it. Blue slave? Yeah. Those are all faces. I have like an orange one.